Would you like to know who you were in past lives, but have no past life recollection and have no idea about it? I have news for you. You do not need a past life recollection to have clues and important information about you and what sort of experience you had in previous lives. In this video, I'll share with you my thoughts about it. Hi, thank you for being with me. I am Nancy Trevelato. In this channel, I talk about the spirit world, our spirituality, and how all of this is present right here. We are just spirits in a physical body, and how we can manifest all of our greatness in our everyday life in a very consistent manner, but with our feet on the ground, in a down-to-earth manner, choosing an approach that makes us more aware and stronger. And because of this, we are going to discuss today what traits we have today that evidences important aspects from previous lives. And I'll give you some tips about that. Not necessarily you need a full past life recollection or a regression of memory to a previous life in order to know what is important for you to be aware of in order to change your present moment. Past life is important for us to the extent that we understand our present and we can do something about it and we can improve ourselves, how we feel about our lives, how we feel inside of us, so that we can adjust whatever is needed. Before I move on, let me mention to you that if you like this topic, if the video is useful, please give me a thumbs up. That's a great help. And if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here with us. Now, let us jump into what are evidences of situations of past lives. I remember in my youth that I was so curious to know who I had been and what factors were influencing my life today. And I joined some courses and groups that were studying and doing meditation or some rituals for past life recollection, but it didn't take me long to observe that most of the things that were in my mind were more like fantasies, things that I expected to be like that, and explanations that I was looking for, the situations of my current life. So it was more me thinking in a rational way what could have led to that. I found it much better system to know about my previous experiences, to study characteristics of my personality and my current life in a sense of what sort of synchronicities come to me, what sort of situations happen too often, what sort of emotion is there inside of me for no reason, what sort of topic I deal with or I see on the news in the everyday life that all of a sudden I am so indignified about that and I think that's outrageous. Whatever drives you too much to feel something is unacceptable, or drives you to, just be too flexible into some of elements of life, they are sign for you of what you may have experienced and what traits of personality you have had, what roles you had assumed. What we need now to do this is an accurate vision of our life. Nonetheless, having said that, having this accurate vision of our present life and ourselves, it's not so easy because we are always seeing it through the veil of our emotions, expectations, and mostly of our cultural background. We tend to feel like we need or want things that we have been taught to in this lifetime. So then how can we distinguish ourselves from the influences of this lifetime? From the cultural influences, from the influences of our upbringing and education. And one tool that helps a lot is to be able to put our own energy in a certain level of stability, almost like creating an energy field around of us, as if our aura or all of our chakras, they were so stable and activated in an activity that is so balanced that we have less influence of the energy around. Because the energies around of us, they influence us. energy from people we work with, energy from spirits or entities that could be present in an environment, or that they could be related to a certain context of our lives, or that they could have been around since our childhood. All of that affects how we feel and how we behave right now. We have to remove all of these distractions and external elements so that we can look at us and say, you know what? I have a feeling or a type of thought that had been with me since ever. It's almost like I was born with it. Nobody taught me, but it was there. Or you would say, well, I have some sort of a dream that is so recurrent. Or I have an emotion that is inside of me. Or a way that I react to situations that is inside of me, that I see no justification for why I would have developed that. You may even think there are others in my family, maybe siblings, that have been raised in very much similar ways, but they are completely different than I am. Those are the points that you have to pay attention to. And then we can start creating like a table of some elements. What was present with you since long before? What are the aspects that are most disturbing to you, uncomfortable in terms of life in general, but also inside of you, characteristics of yours? And make a long list well studied. But for this, we need to be able to make sure, or at least to some extent, try to prevent external influences. We may often end up capturing thoughts or emotions that are not ours. Even energy patterns that comes with us with certain information that's not ours. So we need to separate us from that. But once we do, and you start examining certain points in your life, those points are going to give you evidences of what sort of traits and experience you have had in previous lives, which may be so much more important than you having a recollection of what name you had, what role you were in, that often may be just a fantasy, or maybe just an element that does not provide you with the tools you need to understand how that is affecting you in your current life. This is a technique that I have applied, and it has helped me a lot. I did have a couple of past life recollections, but they are not in my life more important than the logical, discerned evidences that I see, I analyze, and I can make very important conclusions from them. If you want a technique to help you be very balanced energetically and avoid these influences that we may experience from around, I suggest you learn the Velo technique. You have several videos here in the channel talking about this. Look for Velo, V-E-L-O, how you can do it. And once you learn to master your energies to some degree, at least to avoid some influences, you start examining. If you want a help to do this, I have one course that I give. It's an immersion course, but we do it online and we do it in a live manner because I follow you throughout the course. It's called Multidimensional Force Field, because the idea is that we know ourselves, we know the detail of our energy, and we can little by little become stronger to a point that we not only have a field of energy around of us, which everyone has, but we have one that is stable, that we make it so stable that only the type of energy and the type of spirits that are in good affinity with our own personal principles and with who we are manage to get closer. And that can be done not only in our own energy system, but also in our place, in our bedroom, in our house, because it's very hard for us to be balanced if we cannot have a night of sleep in which we are not influenced, in which all of the possible dreams, lucid dreams, and out-of-body experience that we have to be free from intrusions, not to be polluted from the energies that may be around. Not necessarily polluted in a bad way, but receiving thoughts, telepathic information that are not always ours. The situation of receiving energies and information while we are during the sleep period is more common than you would think or than most people would think. So keep an eye on this. Check how you wake up in the morning. What is your overall feeling towards yourself, towards life? Because we should wake up every morning feeling well. Our problems are there. The things we are not happy about are there, but we feel balanced and strong to work towards them. That is a challenge for you and for me as well, but there are tools that can help us. Anyways, if you're interested in knowing more about the tools that I have to share in this course, the multidimensional force field, please just write to info@nancytrivelato.com. Somebody is going to give you information about it, or subscribe to my newsletter in nancytrivelato.com and you will receive information. Just let you know what tools you have. I wish you have wonderful experiences and this video gave you some tips. Thank you for being with me. Goodbye.